guys, what's up? Thanks so much for checking out my channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a breakdown of the beat I just played for you guys. It was kind of a synthwavy, retro pop type beat. I feel like it's become really popular lately. Kind of like off the Weeknd's new album, Dawn FM. A lot of people are getting into it. I dig it personally, so I was really excited to make this and hopefully do more like that in the future. And yeah, so I'm gonna break that one down for you guys. And real quick, if you're new here, my name is Kay Hart. I do beat making videos, beat breakdown videos like this one, Ableton Live tutorial stuff in general. So if you're interested in that kind of content, please consider hitting the subscribe button down there. It really helps out my channel, and it's very, very much appreciated. I will love you forever. So on that note, let's go ahead and break this one down. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start with the chords because that's normally what I start my beats with, and that's what I started this one with. So let's go ahead and open this up. Just real quick, this is 130 BPM for this one, and it's in A minor. So I'll go ahead and show you guys the chords. So these are the main chords that play throughout the entire beat. Oops, let me go ahead and solo this one. So there's the A minor, G major, F major, back to the G major, an F major 7, and this one is a G major add 13 over B. So I can real quick run through some theory. If you're not interested in that stuff, you can go ahead and skip past this part, but basically what I mean by the one chord, so this is the A minor, the first chord in the A minor scale. This would be the G major, which is the 7th note in the scale, meaning it's the 7 chord. And then we're down to the F major, which is the 6th note in the scale, which would be the 6th chord. So basically it would be the 1, 7, 6, and then back to 7, 6, 7. And basically I only have 3 chords in this whole progression, but the reason it sounds so different is because I'm using inversions. So this one is actually just a regular G major, and then when I come back to it here, this is the same exact chord. This G major is actually, it has an add 13. So what I mean by G major add 13 is basically this is the 13th note. So if we start from this G major triad, which is G, B, D, we'd have 1, 3, 5. We'll skip another one. That would be the 7th. Skip another one. The 9th. Skip another one. There's the C. And there's the E. And normally you don't want to play a full 13th chord because you're basically playing like the whole scale at that point. So an add 13 is basically we're going to take out all these extra notes, and we have the triad plus that 13th, and then I just took that and moved it down an octave, so now it's down here. Inversions are basically changing the root note, so the bass note of the chord. So an F, A, C, E, that's an F major 7 chord because it has that 7th note in it, the E, and then I put this C as the root, so it's an F major 7 over C, and this one is an inversion as well, so it's that G add 13 over B. Alright, so exciting theory stuff. So basically for the chords I just have the Jupiter 8, this is from the Arturia V collection, which is on sale right now. I highly suggest if you're thinking about buying it, buy it. I love it. I use it on everything. So I have this classic brass preset for those chords that I just played you. The other preset I'm using is this Morning Dew preset, which is a lot higher up. And I also have EQ on this just to keep it in the higher octave, the higher range. And you'll see here that for that layer, I have this one kind of encompassing the body of the chords, kind of that lower section. And this one I just really wanted to keep it separate so they're not fighting with each other to be heard. So I just have the EQ kind of separating them. And then for these, this is my 3rd set of chords, also from the Arturia V collection. This is the Stage 73, which is a Rhodes type piano. And so what I've done here is I've just created some simple little triads in this kind of syncopated pattern. by syncopated, I just kind of mean not on the beat. So it's just kind of off the beat, and it kind of gives it that bounce, that rhythm to it. And these are also just the same chords as what are playing up here, just different inversions of them. So basically you're getting the same chords, it's just different voicings of them, so they sound slightly different. And the only thing I've done different with the processing on this one I kind of gave it a little more bandwidth on the EQ to kind of take up a little more space because it's more of a melody and I wanted it to come through, which is also why I have thermal on here, which if you've seen any of my other previous videos, I'm a big fan of this one as well. Really cool saturation distortion plugin. If you're having trouble getting any of your tracks to kind of cut through a mix, slap this on there and one of the presets will probably do it for you. It's real easy to get something to cut through a mix with this. So I have it at 100% wet in the verse just because I needed it to cut through, and I'll show you what I mean if I play this, just this section here, and I'll play it with and without thermal on, and you can hear the difference. So this is with it on. And with it off. So without thermal, that Rhodes kind of gets lost in there. This kind of just gives it some punch. And then overall processing for this group, I have all three of these grouped as one. And so I have just my sidechain compressor coming from the kick. I have some chorus added to it to give it some width, the chord some width. So if I play this, I solo this, you can hear the difference when I turn this on and off. So this is with the chorus on, and then I'll turn it off. So that makes a big difference. I also have a glue compressor on here, just a slight bit of compression to kind of help all of these go together. I have Soothe 2 on here, just a little bit in those mids to kind of clean up some of the harsh frequencies. And then I'm also using Ozone 10 on this just to make sure that this isn't getting too phase canceling. So you'll see here, this chorus is actually making a big difference in terms of the stereo width. You'll see how much whiter it gets when I turn that chorus on. And basically what this does is, if it's up here in the +1, it means you're good if you're going to play the mono. So basically that's going to collapse the signal there, but this is a good thing to check if you're widening things or you have things in similar frequencies, just to make sure that it's not down here toward the -1, because that means if you're going to collapse everything to a mono speaker rather than, like headphones, it's going to kind of mask certain things in your mix. So this is a good thing to check, and I believe the Ozone imager is free, and I'll double check that, but if it is, I'll put a link to it in the comments below. A really cool thing to pick up. The drums for this one, I actually decided to use the 80s, Abbey Road 80s drummer from Native Instruments rather than using samples or like a drum machine type beat. I don't know, I just kind of really like the live drum feel. So at the beginning here, I just kind of have a 4 on the floor kick drum with some toms. And then when the verse comes in, I have the hats come in with the snare. So just a pretty simple pattern there. The chorus, kind of changed up the kick pattern. Added some cowbell because it's not an 80s song if there's no cowbell. And then probably the two most interesting things about this section, I'll show you guys real quick. That snare, so I actually made a gated snare here, and this is something you should be able to recreate on your own if you're looking to make a gated snare, which is kind of that classic 80s snare sound. So I'm going to go ahead and turn all of this processing off on the snare, and I'll show you guys what it sounds like without it. So pretty lame, pretty boring. And I added thermal, give it some more punch. So I'm using the same thermal preset for all of my drums as this digital kick preset. It's not super wet. And then what I did here is created a chain for the gated snare, which when I turn this on, gives it that reverb that's really quickly dampened by a gate. So if you're interested in making a gated snare, I'll just kind of go over it real quick. Basically, you want to have a large decay time, and I have the pre-delay set to about 13 milliseconds. Dry wet's about 44% for this one. Kind of, you can dial most of this into taste. The main thing is you want that large decay time. And I also have a high cut here set to about 9 kilohertz, just because you don't want it to get crazy. You should always EQ your reverb anyway. And then the next thing you want to add is a gate. And so I have the threshold here. This one you kind of have to dial in to taste. So basically you can kind of play with this, but if it's too low, you're not going to have any reverb coming through. You go too far and it's not really working as a gated snare. So I found about 150-ish works for this one. And then the other thing you need to make sure, because it's not going to work if you don't have it sidechained to your actual snare. So you need that dry snare actually triggering this gate. And then the other thing I added was a compressor, which is just kind of making the reverb more apparent. So if I come back here, so this is just the reverb on, adding the gate, and adding the compressor. So that's just giving that reverb some extra punch when it comes through. And the other cool thing I have here is this clap, and I'll turn off, I actually have the gated snare put on the clap as well with some extra stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and turn everything off so you hear what it sounds like before I put any processing on it. So pretty weak clap. So I added thermal, which is already giving it so much life. This sounds really similar to what I have in the final track. I added the gated snare, and that's honestly just kind of keeping the reverb in check so it's not getting out of hand. I added delay, which is adding kind of that extra little, I don't know what to call that trail, that reverb trail at the end. And then I just have pancake added to have it go from the left ear to the right ear. Hats, pretty boring. I have thermal on those as well to help them come through. Everything other than the kick obviously is sidechained to the kick. Some compression soothe on the hats as well, just to help remove some of those harsher frequencies up here in the upper range. And for the bus, I just have a drum bus to add some extra crunch. And so if I go ahead and play this, this is without the drum bus. I'll take both of these off real quick. So this is without any of the bus processing. With the drum bus, you can hear it adding some extra drive right here. Some boom, which is increasing the kick a little bit in the lower frequencies. And then the glue compressor just to kind of help everything mesh together a little bit better. So this ARP is basically I have this one chord. So I have the arpeggiator on the up setting. And I have it automated here, the steps. So every third bar, I think it is, it goes up the octave. And then I also have an auto filter you can see here, kind of bringing it in from the beginning. So right here, it's going to reach all the way open. And I also have it, if I come back here, as this is opening, I have this gain on my utility kind of bringing the volume down, because as this filter opens, it's going to inherently get louder, which I didn't really want. I just wanted the filter open. So I added just a little bit of gain reduction automated to kind of counterbalance that filter opening. Thermal on this one as well. This has a really cool preset, the Angry Echoes preset. So if I turn that off, that's what it sounds like without it. With it, kind of gives it some extra movement and interest. And then just some compression, of course the side chain, soothe as well, because this one kind of had some nasty frequencies. You can kind of hear them coming through if I turn it off. I'll go ahead and do the bass next. So for the bass, I have two different basses stacked together. This one, I feel like as soon as I play it, you're gonna get that Weeknd vibe. So this is just a Serum preset, and I got this off of Splice. Splice has some really good Serum presets. Even if you don't want samples, if you have Splice, they have some really good presets to check out. So I don't think I did anything to change that one, so that's just that preset. And then this one as well, also off of Splice, the Oliver Funk bass. And that's more of a sub bass. So I layered those together just to make the bass a little thicker. So that's just kind of following along with the chords at the beginning. And then for the chorus, I kind of wanted just like a funky bass line. And so I just went for it and made this pattern here. So it's basically just kind of jumping from that octave, the A, and then coming back down. So that's kind of the pattern for that. And then as for the processing, I have an auto filter mainly on this top bass, because it has a lot of that top end, that kind of growl at the top. And so I have it filtered to come off during the chorus, just because I have more of that top end happening and I didn't want the bass fighting with it. So you can hear the difference, and the filter is pretty much all the way open versus kind of closed here in the chorus. Chorus side chained to the kick for both of these. I don't think there's anything else too interesting on the individual channels. On the bus, I do have thermal, as usual, most of my tracks these days, if it's not like chill lo-fi. And I have, again, the ozone imager, just to make sure it's not getting out of hand. Because what I decided to do for the chorus, I actually have a send. If I come back here, I have a chorus. This is the same chorus I actually had on my Chords. And I have the bass coming to it during the chorus. So I added chorus during the chorus. That's confusing. But I don't have the stereo width very high, and I have it not super wet. So you'll see when I come, if I put this on the chorus here real quick. So the bass is still good here, but it's definitely widening it versus if I turn it off. And I think the only thing left here is this little lead melody, which is another Analog Lab 5 preset, this Flying Light. I don't think I really changed much on it. So I have this one cut to be just pretty high in terms of EQ. I have it sending to reverb, just like I have most of this other stuff being sent to a reverb, return track, soothe as well, just because this one kind of had some nasty frequencies as well. Basically anything that's up here in this top end, I basically use soothe to kind of mellow it out a little bit. I think that covers it pretty much for this one. If you found any of that informative, entertaining, please go ahead and hit the like button and the subscribe button for me. Very, very much appreciated. And if there's anything that you would like to see in the future, any suggestions, go ahead and drop me a comment below, and I'd be more than happy to give it a shot. So thank you again for watching, and take care. I'll see you in the next one.